Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro met with his Colombian counterpart Gustavo Petro in the context of the reestablishment of bilateral relations. In Brazil's Supreme Electoral Court, President Alexandre G. Moraes ordered the immediate clearing of roads blockaded by truck drivers and sympathizers of Jair Bolsonaro who do not accept his defeat. The International Atomic Energy Agency has started an inspection of nuclear facilities in Ukraine following Russia's complaint about the manufacturing of their bomb by Kiev. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And we start in Venezuela, where President Nicolás Maduro received his counterpart from Colombia, Gustavo Petro, who arrived at the Miraflores Palace to hold a working meeting within the framework of the reestablishment of bilateral ties. As part of the establishment work agenda, both presidents will discuss issues of economic interests and commercial integration. The President Gustavo Petro also said they will talk about the migratory situation of both countries. Petro landed at Maiquetía Simón Bolívar International Airport in La Guaira State, where he was received by Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodríguez and Foreign Minister Carlos Farias. In Bolivia, social organizations continue to mobilize in rejection of the indefinite strike promoted by the right-wing sector in Santa Cruz. Residents of areas adjacent to the Santa Cruz department continue to mobilize, asking for the resignation of Governor Fernando Camacho. Moreover, the demonstrators are rejecting the siege promoted by local authorities, blocking roads in and out of the department. On this part, the government of Luis Arce requests that sector in conflict lift all pressure measures to make possible the signing of an agreement while expressing its concern over the escalation of violence in Santa Cruz. In Ecuador, the cities of Guayaquil and Esmeraldas have been targeted with at least 10 explosive devices and car bombs. According to information released by Ecuador's National Police, these attacks took place in the wee hours of Tuesday. One such event left 2 policemen with gun wounds in the suburb of Guayaquil. Rescue forces reported that between the night of October 31st and the early morning of November the 1st, they have 7 emergencies caused due to explosive. Meanwhile, in a men's prison in the city of Esmeralda, inmates kidnapped a group of prison guards as a pressure measure to prevent the police from entering wards 8 and 9. In Brazil's Supreme Electoral Court, President Alexandre G. Moraes ordered the immediate clearing of roads blocked by truck drivers, sympathizers of Jair Bolsonaro who do not accept the defeat of the ultra-right-wing candidate. On Monday, in the last 16 states of Brazil, truck drivers and other protesters were blocking roads as they refused to acknowledge the electoral victory of Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva over outgoing President Jair Bolsonaro. Lula da Silva won the presidential elections in Sunday runoff, becoming the candidate to receive the most votes in the history of Brazil, with more than 60,340,000 votes. In the U.S., preparations are underway for the midterm elections to elect representative legislators, mayors, governors, and to have a consultation on amendments to some laws. This November the 8th, people will be electing members to the House of Representatives as well as 1/3 of the country's senators and 36 governors. Specialists foresee that these elections will have repercussions on U.S. domestic and foreign policies. For the time being, representatives of the Democratic Party have control of the legislative branch as well as the presidency. We'll take our first break now, but remember you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. A major search and rescue operations was underway on Tuesday for dozens of people missing after the boat they were on capsized and sank overnight off the coast of an island near the Greek capital. The Greek Coast Guard said 9 survivors, all men, were found on an inhabited islet south of the island of Evia and have been picked out by a Coast Guard vessel. The survivors told authorities that there have been about 68 people on board of the sailing boat when it sank, and that they had initially set sail for the Izmir on the Turkish coast. An helicopter, a Coast Guard patrol boat, and 2 nearby ships were participating in the search and rescue operations. The Japanese government urged the country's businesses and households to save electricity during the winter months due to the fear of energy shortages. The Ministry of Economy and Trade advised citizens to wear more clothes inside their homes, to adjust the heating to lower temperatures, and to turn off unnecessary lights. They also said that concrete actions are needed to ensure a steady electricity supply from December the 1st through March 2023, when the demands peak in the face of low temperatures. On his part, Mashirio Kafayi, executive director of the Otushi company, said that unlike Europe and the US, Japan is almost totally dependent on other countries for its energy supply, which is why the country will have an extremely hard time doing out Russia oil and gas. The International Atomic Energy Agency has started an inspection of nuclear facilities in Ukraine following Russia's complaint about the manufacturing of a dirty bomb by Kiev. The agency's Director General, Rafael Grossi, said they have started inspecting 2 nuclear facilities in Ukraine after Moscow submitted an formal complaint to the UN Security Council about Ukraine's intentions. The agency stressed that the inspection seeks to detect any possible undeclared nuclear activity and materials used in manufacturing of dirty bombs. During that trilateral meeting with the heads of the state of Armenia and Azerbaijan, Russian President Vladimir Putin explained why his country temporarily withdrew from the agreement of wheat and other agricultural products exported from Ukrainian ports. Putin said Moscow is suspending its participation in the agreement until Ukraine guarantees security for ships in the Black Sea. This statement follows massive drone attacks on Russian ships in Sevastopol Bay on Saturday. Putin said that initially exports of grain from Ukraine were intended for the neediest countries, and that was the reason why Moscow decided to take part in the agreement. However, he said that data reveals that the poorest countries have received only about 3 to 4% of such grain exports. A Russian court on Tuesday fined the Wikimedia Foundation for its refusal to remove inappropriate content for its website. Wikimedia Foundation is a non-profit organization that runs the online encyclopedia Wikipedia. The organization has been fined $32,000 for the refusal to delete false information about Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. In April, a court in Moscow also fined the Wikimedia Foundation with $38,000. The result for the fine was false information in 7 Wikipedia articles about the special military operation, including information about events in Bucha and the destruction of Mariupol's state. Vietnam's Communist Party General Secretary Nguyen Phuong Trong pays an official visit to China following an invitation by Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Vietnamese leader was welcomed in Beijing on October the 30th with a full diplomatic protocol and will conclude his visit on November the 2nd. The two leaders agreed to further advance their comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and to consolidate historic friendship ties between their two countries. They also proceeded over the signing ceremony of a comprehensive cooperation contract on political parties, economy, trade, environmental protection, culture, tourism, justice, customs, and local government. We have more news coming up after this final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Israeli are heading to the polls for an unprecedented fifth time in 4 years on Tuesday, as the country holds yet another national elections aimed at ending the outgoing political deadlock. The main candidates to win the elections are the active Prime Minister Yair Lapid and the leader of the opposition Benjamin Netanyahu, who has already been in power for 12 years. But if the final opinion polls are on target, it seems unlikely that this round of voting will be any more successful than the last 4. Those polls projected that Netanyahu's bloc will fall 1 seat short of a majority in parliament. The elections come in one of the most violent years in the region since 2015, with more than 100 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Palestine. The Israeli army imposed comprehensive closure on Palestine strip crossing on Tuesday during the date of legislative elections. The closure came during heightened tensions between the Israeli army and the Palestinians in recent months. For the fifth time since 2018, Israelis are voting in national elections, hoping to break the political deadlock that has paralyzed the country for the past 3.5 years. This year is on track to be the deadliest in Palestine since the United Nations began monitoring fatalities in 2005. It remains unclear what impact the violence might have on Tuesday's election, which opinion polls said it's too close to forecast. In Nigeria, health authorities warned that there's a high risk for the Ebola virus entering the country given the recent outbreak in Uganda. Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention warned in a press release that there is a high risk of the current Ebola crisis in Uganda reaching Nigerian territory, given the great number of air travelers between both countries and the lack of biosecurity controls on airports and air hubs. The entity underscores its concern about the possibility of the virus spreading throughout countries that share a land border with Uganda, which will bring a regional crisis. South Africa welcomed the return of the continent's largest street art event, the Cape Town Arts Festival, which is a unique and vibrant event that aims to promote cultural diversity and celebrates humanity. Against the backdrop of the Castle of Good Hope, the Cape Town Arts Festival kicked off with over 1,000 artists, 10 arts venues, and a sharp focus on struggling artists. Participants agreed that such an excellent event should be held at a more regular basis in order to offer artists places to show their talent. From alternative healing practices like meditation and yoga to an overall importance of well-being, the festival really had something for everyone.
The beauty of this festival and this event is that it connects the arts. quite seamlessly. But what it also does is it gives artists an opportunity to show their work and not to have to pay for it. And they have the ability to sell their work without having to worry about the resources, framing, installation.
And with that story, we have come to the end of this brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.